Hello everybody, my name is Rev.Kyle. Welcome to the Way of Devotion. On this channel we talk about Christian spirituality and how we can live out our faith with joy and intentionality. And so if that seems good to you, then I'd love it if you would consider subscribing. Now, before we get into the content of today's video, which is the inaugural video for the Way of Devotion, I want to give a shout out. I wanted to give a shout out to the Grape Explorer. He does wine education, product reviews, and lots of tastings. He also does quizzes, and I've enjoyed those quizzes. I've learned a lot from watching his channel. My wife and I, we enjoy an occasional bottle of wine from time to time, and we go down to our local liquor store and we take in wine tasting evenings, and it's just great fun. I've learned a lot from watching the Grape Explorer. And what I've appreciated from his channel is the ease by which he presents the material. It's easy, it's approachable. He's approachable on camera, but he's also approachable in comments and in emails. I get the distinct impression that if I were to go across the pond, that he would be somebody that I would love to hang out with. And as I've watched his videos and the way that he presents himself and just the ease of the video itself, I started thinking, well, that's something that I could do. Not obviously in wine education, but in my own wheelhouse, which is spiritual formation. And so watching his videos and seeing how he does it, and actually asking a little bit of advice from him, directly influenced this, the Way of Devotion and these videos. And so if you are someone who hasn't checked him out, but enjoys a bottle of wine from time to time, then I encourage you to check out the Grape Explorer. I'll put a link in the comments below. He is worth checking out. And to the Grape Explorer, cheers. Now on to today's video. Let's talk about intention. The tagline for the Way of Devotion is living the Christian life with joy and intentionality. What is intentionality? How do we intend to live the Christian life? In The Divine Conspiracy, Dallas Willard talks about how the biggest block to our discipleship is failure to intend to live the Christian life. And he actually quotes one of my favorite books, which is The Serious Call to the Devout and Holy Life. When I was studying for my doctorate in spiritual formation, I rested heavily on this book. It was originally published in 1729 by a man named William Law, this great old Anglican. And in this book, A Serious Call to the Devout and Holy Life, Law says this: if you will stop here and ask yourself why you are not as pious as the primitive Christians were, your own heart will tell you that it is neither because of ignorance or inability, but because you never thoroughly intended it. Part of the reason why I like that quote is because I actually don't like that quote, right? It stings just a little bit. It is almost confrontational in nature. And my original reaction to it is to reject it. To say something like, who are you, William Law, to judge me? Who are you to suggest that I'm not intending to live the Christian life, or that I am not as faithful as the early Christians were? How dare you, William Law? But when those objections kind of rise up within me, there's another voice that speaks within that kind of says, well, you know, he might be right. You see, when I'm honest with myself, when I look at myself, I find that it might be too easy for me sometimes to skip a time of prayer because I tell myself I'm too tired. Or I skip times of Bible reading or biblical meditation because I tell myself I have more important things to do. And despite all the biblical words about how we speak to each other, about how blessings and curses should not come from the same mouth, it can be far too easy for me, whether joking or not, to send a zinger, which hurts and offends somebody I love and care about. When I'm actually honest with myself, sometimes it's way too easy for me to intend to live a life of ease and comfort rather than a life of discipleship. See, intention speaks to our desires. That idea of the good life of which we are pursuing, the life that we want to live. And our desires directly impact the habits, the practices that we cultivate. Because those habits and those practices are the ways in which we pursue that which we desire, the life that we intend to live. So on the way of devotion, we're going to talk a lot about habits and practices. Sometimes we use the language of spiritual disciplines, the ways in which we can practically live out our intention to live the Christian life. So that's what we're going to be talking about here on the way of devotion. We're going to talk a lot about Christian disciplines, about how we practically live out our Christian life. And hopefully along the way, we're going to have some fun as well. So if that seems good for you, please consider subscribing and hit that like button and drop me a comment. Let me know that I'm connecting with you. And if there is a practice or a discipline that you want me to do a video on, that you want me to explore, please write that down as well. I want this to be as an interactive process as possible. Until next time, God bless you all.